Today we'll be going over the Ineffable Name. We'll start off with the definition. It's kind of loud. The ineffable, too great or extreme to be expressed or described in words. The Ineffable Name. And we'll go back to the legends of the Jews. Too great to be said or expressed by words. And we'll start with this chapter right here, the alphabet. And that was followed, before that was the chapter with the creation of the world, the first things created. Very interesting. But we'll come back down here. We'll start over here in the top left. God had to remind it that he would smite together. So let's go back. These are letters, the original letters that God had created, or the Most High had created. And these letters were in heaven with him in the beginning, speaking with him. Kabod, his honor, and Keter, his crown, all began with it. The Most High had to remind it that he would smite together his hands, cough in despair over the misfortunes of Israel. Yod at first sight seemed the appropriate letter for the beginning of creation on account of its association with Yah. The Most High, if only Yezer Hara, the evil inclination, had not happened to begin with it. Tet is identified with Tab, the good. However, the truly good is not in this world. It belongs to the world to come. He is the first letter of Hanan, the gracious one. But disadvantage is offset by its place. If the word for sin, hatat, saying, suggests sakor, remembrance, but it itself the word for weapon, the doer of mischief, Wa, and he composed the ineffable name of God. They are therefore too exalted to be expressed into the service of the mundane world. Okay, that's one of them. Let's go to the second one. And we'll start it right here at the top left. When the sun and the moon are ready to start their round of duties, they appear before the Most High and beseech him to relieve them of their task, so that they may be spared the sight of the sitting mankind. Only upon compulsion they proceed with their daily course, coming from the presence of the Most High. They are blinded by the radiance of the heavens, and they cannot find their way. The Most High therefore shoots off arrows by the glittering light of which they are guided. It is on account of the sinfulness of man, which the sun is forced to contemplate on his rounds, that he grows weaker as the time of his going down approaches. For sins have a defiling and enfeebling effect and he for sins have a defiling and enfeebling effect, and he drops from the horizon as a fear of blood. For blood is a sign of corruption, as the sun sets forth its course in the morning. His wings touch the leaves of the trees of paradise. Vibration is communicated to the angels, and the holy Hayat to the other plants, and also to the trees and plants of the earth, and to all the big beings on the earth and in heaven. It is a signal for them all to cast their eyes upward as soon as they see the ineffable name which is engraved in the sun. They raise their voice in songs of praise to God. At the same moment, a heavenly voice is heard to say, "Woe to the sons of men that consider not to honor, not the honor of God like unto the creature whose voices now raised aloft in adoration." These words naturally are not heard by men as little as they perceive the grating of the sun against the wheel to which the celestial bodies are attached. Let's go to the third one. The divine resolution to bestow a companion on Adam met the wishes of the man who had been overcome by feelings of isolation. When the animals came to him in pairs to be named, to banish his loneliness, Lilith was first given to Adam as wife. Like him, she had been created out of the dust of the ground, but she remained with him only a short time, because she insisted upon enjoying full equality with her husband. She derived her rights from him. She derived her rights from their identical origin. With the help of the ineffable name, which she pronounced Lilith, flew away from Adam and vanished in the air. Adam complained before God that his wife had deserted him, and God sent for 3 angels to capture her. They found her in the Red Sea, and they sought to make her go back with him. The threat that unless she went, she would lose 100 of her demon children daily by death. But Lilith preferred this punishment to living with Adam. She takes her revenge by injuring baby boys during the first night of their life, while baby girls are exposed to her wicked designs until they are 20 days old. The fourth one, Methuselah. After the translation, Methuselah is pronounced ruler of the world by all the kings. He walked in the footsteps of his father, teaching truth, knowledge, and fear of the Most High to the children of men. All his life, and deviating from the path of rectitude, neither to the right nor to the left. He delivered the world from thousands of demons, the posterity of Adam, which he had begotten, with Lilith, the she-devil of she-devils. These demons and evil spirits, as often as they encountered a man, had sought to injure and evil slay him, until Methuselah appeared and supplicated the mercy of the Most High. He spent 3 days in fasting, and then the Most High gave him permission to write the ineffable name upon his sword, wherewith he slew 94 myriads of the demons in a minute, until Artemis, the firstborn of them, came to him and entreated him to desist, at the same time handing the names of the demons and imps over to him. And so Methuselah placed their kings in iron fetters, while the remainder fled away, and had themselves in the innermost chamber in the recesses of the oceans. And it is on account of the wonderful sword by means of which demons were killed that he was called Methuselah. Let's go to the 5th one. Let's see what this chapter is. The punishment of the fallen angels. When the angels came to earth, they beheld the daughters of men in all their grace and beauty, They could not restrain their passion. Shemhazi saw a maiden named Istar, and he lost his heart to her. She promised to surrender herself to him. At first he taught her the Ineffable Name, by means of which he raised himself to heaven. He ascended to her condition, but once she knew it, she pronounced the name, and herself ascended to heaven, without fulfilling her promise to the angel. The Most High said, because she kept herself aloof from sin, we will place her among the 7 stars, that men may never forget her. And she was put in the constellation of the Pleiades. Let's keep going. Shemhazi and Aziel, however, were not deterred from entering into alliance with the daughters of men. And to the first 2 sons were born, Aziel began to devise the finery and ornaments by means of which women allure men. Thereupon the Most High sent Metatron to tell Shemhazi, Metatron, Enoch, that he had resolved to destroy the world and bring on a deluge. The fallen angels began to weep and grieve over the fate of the world and the fate of his 2 sons. If the world went under, what would they have to eat? They would need daily 1,000 camels, 1,000 horses, and 1,000 steers. These 2 sons of Shemhazi, Hawa and Hiya, by name dream dreams. The one saw a great stone which covered the earth, and the earth was marked all over with lines upon lines of writing. An angel came and with a knife obliterated all the lines, leaving but 4 letters upon the stone. The other son saw a large pleasure grove planted with all sorts of trees. But angels approached bearing axes, and they felled the trees, sparing a single one with 3 of its branches. When Hawa and Hiya, awoke, they repaired to their father, who interpreted the dreams for them, saying, the Most High will bring a deluge, and none will escape with his life, excepting only Noah and his sons. When they heard this, they began to cry and scream. But their father consoled him. Soft, do not grieve. As often as men cut or haul stones or large vessels, they shall invoke your names, Hawa and Haya. This prophecy soothed them. Yep. The Ineffable Name, too great to be said. I see what you said. Great things happen once you say it. The Ineffable Name. Let's go to 6. Chapter is this. The Days of Miracle. Starts off with Jacob's journey to Haran was a succession of miracles. Alright. The first of 5 that befell for his sake in the course of it was a son saying, Jacob took 12 stones from the altar on which his father Isaac had laid bound as a sacrifice, and he said it was a purpose of the Most High to let 12 tribes. Alright, let's go down. Let's start right here. From this wondrous dream, Jacob awoke with a start of fright on account of the vision he had of the destruction of the temple. He cried out, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of the Most High, wherein the gate of heaven through which prayers ascend to him. He took the stone made out of the 12 and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon the top of it, which had flowed down from heaven for him. And the Most High sank this anointed stone into the abyss to serve as the center of the earth. The same stone, the Eben Shetah, that forms the center of the sanctuary, whereon the ineffable name is graven, the knowledge of which makes a man master over nature and life over death. Ineffable name. Master over nature and life over death. Seven. So the ineffable name is mentioned 27 times in this book. The blessings of Ephraim and Manasseh. This is the blessings when one tribe was destined to have a Messiah. Messiah who they say is mistaken as JC. Jacob also taught Joseph 3 signs whereby to distinguish the true Redeemer who should deliver Israel from the bondage of Egypt. He proclaimed the ineffable name, appoint elders, and used the word pakad in addressing the people. Pocket. Pakad. Hopefully I got that right. Go on to 8. Moses marries Zipporah. It's a great story. Might as well start from the beginning of the chapter. One of the 7 maidens who Moses saw at the well attracted his notice, in particular on account of her modest demeanor, and he made her a proposal of marriage. But Zipporah repulsed him, saying, "My father has a tree, and in his garden, with which he tests every man that expresses a desire to marry one of his daughters. And as soon as the suitor touches the tree, he is devoured by it." Moses, whence has he the tree? Zipporah, it is the rod that the Holy One blessed be. He created in the twilight of the first Sabbath eve, and gave to Adam. He transmitted it to Enoch. From him it descended to Noah, to Shem, and to Abraham, and to Isaac, and finally to Jacob, who brought it with him to Egypt, and gave it to his son Joseph. And when Joseph died, the Egyptians pillaged his house, and the rod which was in their booty they brought to Pharaoh's palace. At that time, my father was one of the most prominent of the king's sacred scribes, and as such he had the opportunity of seeing the rod. He felt a great desire to possess it, and he stole it and took it to his house. On this rod, the ineffable name is engraven, and also the 10 plagues that the Most High will cause to visit the Egyptians in the future day. For many years it lay in my father's house. One day he was walking in the garden carrying it, and he struck it in the ground. When he attempted to draw it out again, he found that it had sprouted and was sprouting forth blossoms. That is the rod with which he tries any that desires to marry his daughter. He insists that our suitor shall attempt to pull it out of the ground, but as soon as they touch it, it devours them. Having given him this account of her father's rod, Zipporah went home, accompanied by her sisters, and Moses followed them. Jethro was not little amazed to see his daughter return as soon from the watering troughs. As a rule, the chicanery they had to suffer when the shepherds detained them until late. No sooner had they heard the report about the wandering work working Egyptian. Then he exclaimed, Mayhap he is the one of the descendants of Abraham, from whom issued blessings for the whole world. He rebuked his daughters for not having invited a stranger that had done them so valuable a service, coming to their house, and he ordered them to fetch him in the hope that he would take one of his daughters to wife. Okay. Oh man. Where's it at? Where's it at? Hold on. Well, anyways, Moses, Jethro threw Moses into a pit. Then later on, after Zipporah was feeding him to keep him alive, then Jethro thought it was a miracle. So then he came out. Then he pulled the rod out, and that's how Moses got the rod. For I don't want to waste no time. So let's move on. Moses prayed to God, entreating him to reveal his great and holy name unto him, so that he might call upon it with and secure the fulfillment of all his wishes. The Lord granted the prayer of Moses, and when the celestials knew that he revealed the secret of the ineffable name, they cried out, Blessed art thou, O Lord, gracious giver of knowledge. Let's see what this says. Moses punished for stubbornness. Thou desirest to be castigated with it, if thou didst not intend to take my mission upon thyself. Thou should not have said so in the beginning. Instead, thou didst hold back in this with thy refusal, until I revealed thee the great secret of the ineffable name, that thou mightest know it, if the children of Israel should ask thee concerning it. 11. The return to Egypt. He was no less magnanimous than Aaron, if the elder brother felt no envy on account of the younger brother's dignity. The younger brother did not withhold from the other the teachings and revelations he had received. Immediately after meeting with Aaron, Moses told him all that the Most High taught him, even the awful secret of the ineffable name, communicating to him on Mount Horeb. 12. Amalek's war against Israel. No sooner had he heard of Israel's departure from Egypt than he set out against them and met them by the Red Sea. There indeed he could work them no ill, for Moses uttered against him the ineffable name, and so great was his confusion that he was forced to retreat without having effected his object. 13. The other commandments revealed on Sinai. The third commandment read, O my people Israel, none among you shall call the name of the Lord in vain. For he who swears falsely by the name of the Lord shall not go unpunished on the great judgment day. Swearing falsely by his terrible consequence, not only for the one who does it, but it endangers all the world. For when the Most High created all the world, he laid over the abyss a shard, on which is engraved the ineffable name, that the abyss may not burst forth and destroy the world. But as often As one swears falsely by the Most High's name, the letters of the Ineffable Name fly away, and as they are then, nothing restrains the abyss. The waters burst forth from it to destroy the world. This would surely come to pass if Yah did not send the angel Yaazriel, Yaazriel, who has charge over the 70 pencils to engrave anew the ineffable name on the shard. 14. 16. The ark with the cherubim. The ark contained the two tables of the Ten Commandments, as well as the ineffable name and all his other epithets. The ark was an image of the ark was an image of a celestial throne and was therefore the most essential part of the tabernacle, so that even during the march it was spread over with cloth wholly of blue, because this color is similar to the color of the celestial throne. It was through the ark also that all the miracles on the way through the desert had been wrought. Two sparks issued from the cherubim that shaded the ark, and these killed all the serpents and the scorpions that crossed the path of the Israelites, and furthermore burned all thorns that threatened to injure the wanderers on their march through the desert. The smoke rising from these scorched thorns, moreover, rose straight as a column, and shed a fragrance that perfumed all the world, so that the nation exclaimed, "Who is this that cometh out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all powders of the merchants?" 17. The blasphemer and the Sabbath breaker. The Egyptian violence was not without issue, for Shelomith gave birth to a son, whom she reared as a Jew, even though his father had been Egyptian. When the divisions of the people according to the four standards took place, the son Shelomith appeared. Shelomith appeared among the Danites, into whose division he meant to be admitted, pointing out to them that his mother was a woman of the tribe of Dan. The Danites, however, rejected him, saying, "The commandment of the Most High says, each man by his own standard, with the ensign of his father's house, paternal, not maternal. Descent decides a man's admission to a tribe." As the man was not content with this answer, and his case was brought to Moses' court, who also passed a judgment against him. This so embittered him that he blasphemed the ineffable name which he had heard on Mount Sinai, and cursed Moses. He at this time ridiculed the recently announced law concerning the shewbread that was to be set before the table in the sanctuary every Sabbath, saying, "It behooves a king to eat fresh bread daily, and no stale bread." Okay. He tried to claim descent. My mama's from the tribe of Dan, but your daddy's Egyptian, boy. Get out of here with that mess. Let's move on. Israel convinced of Aaron's priesthood. The Most High in his kindness now desired the people once and for all to be convinced of the truth that Aaron was the elect and in his house of priesthood. Hence bade Moses to convince him of the following fashion upon Yah's command. He took a beam of wood divided into 12 rods, made every prince of the tribe his own hand write in his name on one of the rods, respectively, and laid up the rods overnight before the sanctuary. Then the miracle came to pass that the rod of Aaron, the prince of the tribe of Levi, bore the ineffable name, which caused the rod to bloom blossoms overnight and to yield ripe almonds. 19. The waters of Meribah. Moses then fetched out the tabernacle, the holy rod, which was the ineffable name of Yah, and accompanied by Aaron, betook himself to a rock to bring water out of it. On the way to the rock, all Israel followed him, halting at any rock by the way, fancying that they might fetch water out of it. The grumblers now went about inciting the people against Moses, saying, "Don't you know the son of Amram had once been Jethro's shepherd? And all the shepherds have knowledge of this place in the wilderness that are rich in water. Moses will now try to lead us to such a place where there is water. Then he will cheat us and declare he had caused the water to flow." Ha. Yeah, so you know the story. He hit the rock with the rod. The rod had the ineffable name. Caused miracles to happen. 20. The victorious return from the war. War with who? The campaign against the Median, the warriors, alright. This occasion that led the war against Median had been Israel's seduction by the Midianite women, but these had seduced only by having first intoxicated sinners with wine. Phinehas, to make sure that they might not be repeated in the future, put the earthly as well as the heavenly ban upon all those who would drink the wine of the heathens, for the latter used it only as libations to their idols and for immoral purpose. In pronouncing this ban, he called upon the ineffable name and upon the holy writing the two tables against its transgressors. 21. Moses' death. Irrevocably doomed. When the Most High saw that Moses was not much concerned about the impending punishment, he sealed the command he had issued against him, and swore by his ineffable name that Moses should not march into the land. Moses thereupon put sackcloth, threw himself upon ashes, and prayed no less than 1,500 prayers for the annulment of the divine resolve against him. 22. Same chapter. Could have kept reading. Because Moses' doom of death had been sealed by him, the Most High quickly called him before the angel Akraziel, who is the celestial Herod, and bade him proclaim the following in heaven: "Descend at once and lock every single gate in heaven, that Moses' prayer may not ascend into it." Then at Moses' prayer trembled heaven and earth, and the foundations therefore and the creatures therein, for his prayer was like a sword that slashes and rends, and can in no wise be parried. For in it was the power of the ineffable name that Moses had learned from the teaching of Zagzael, the teacher of the scribe of the celestial beings. But when the Galgium and Seraphim saw that the Most High did not accept Moses' prayer, and without taking into consideration of him, did not grant his prayer for a longer life, They all opened their mouths, saying, Praise be the glory of the Lord. From, from his place there is no injustice before him, no forgetfulness, no respect of persons toward the small of the great or the great. 23. The Most High tries to cover Moses concerning his death. My radiance will make thy face beam. My sweetness will delight the palate. The carriages of my equipage will serve as vehicles for thee, and one of my scepters upon which is engraved the Ineffable Name, one that I had employed in the creation of the world, shall I give thee, the image of which I had already given thee in this world. I really don't. Maybe I should have read the whole chapter because it's a little hard to understand reading that part. What's going on? 24. The last day of Moses' life. While Joshua and all Israel still sat before Moses, a voice from heaven became audible and said, Moses has now only 4 hours of life. Moses began to implore the Most High anew, O Lord of the world, if I must die only for my disciples' sake, I am willing to conduct myself as if I were his pupil. Let it be as if I were high priest and I a common priest. Let it be as if he were high priest and I a common priest. He is king and I his servant. The Most High replied, I have sworn by my great name, which the heaven and the heavens cannot contain, that thou shalt not cross the Jordan. Lord of the world, let me least by the power of the Ineffable Name fly like a bird in the air, or make like a fish, transform my 2 arms to fins and my hair to scales, that like a fish I may leap over the Jordan and see the land of Israel. The Most High, if I comply with thy wish, I shall break my vow. Moses wanted to use the name to turn into a fish or a bird. I have lost my place, so now I have to try to get it back. Well, that should be all for now because I have messed up and lost my place. So you get the idea of the Ineffable Name. Too great to be said, and when you do say it, great things happen. All right, y'all, I'm out.